Yes, once again, folks, it's Friday on the bus, and as always say, you know what that means. It's time for another Friday feeling. Welcome along. It's been a while, but yes, we are back, folks. And yeah, the bus is up and running. A little bit late. We're a couple of minutes late, a couple of wee technical difficulties, but we are here now, folks. And it is, as you can see, a very busy Friday feeling bus this evening because we've got the main man himself, Russell Boyce. How are you doing, sir?
I'm very well, mate. How are you?
Absolutely smashing, mate. Fantastic. Can't
Good to
complain.
be
And
back
all the
on,
better
man.
because you're here, mate. It's good to see you back on screen. So
Right,
I'm
good to be
delighted.
back on, man. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes life gets in the way, and Saturday night PMPs just doesn't work for me.
Thankfully, I think that is the last Saturday night evening kickoff, unless Sky or somebody throw a curveball in there. But I think for the time being, we can say that is the last Saturday night one. So,
I hope
yeah,
so.
fingers crossed. Yeah. And of course, Friday night, folks, it's tradition, it's heritage on the bus. I'm once again joined by Canada's favourite Tim, the wise man of the bus, the beard of knowledge, even though I'm trying my best to catch up there. It is Liam, the Punk Duck Warlord.
You boys are lucky you don't get me on a Friday night. This is 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock on a Friday. I'm a different gremlin after dark.
That's the point. Do you know what I mean? At times I'm like that. A Saturday night would mean all day Saturday not being said gremlin. I'm like, that's just too tricky for me. Do you know what I mean? Just doesn't work.
Nah, come on, Celtic, sort it out. Sort of these kick-off times. Come
Come
on.
on.
And of course, we're joined by a fourth person tonight. Is he anywhere exotic tonight? Is that the question? So, Johnny, first of all, are you anywhere exotic tonight on your travels?
Not tonight, Phil. I'm having a rare Friday weekend at home. So yeah, nowhere exotic tonight. So there we go.
No, it's good to have you on, mate. It's been a wee while since we've done a show, and an absolute belter of an away shot as well. One of the best ones in our history.
It's one of the few away tops I do like, actually, to tell you the truth. I'm not a fan of the other ones, but most of the other ones, but I do like this one. This is one of my favourites. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's an absolute cracker. Victor Wanyama, I can always see Victor Wanyama in that shot. Again, we always talk about certain shots. You look at them and you just see a certain player. Yeah, definitely Victor Wanyama in that one. The long-sleeved one, though, would definitely be Samaras against Spartak Moscow. That header. What a night one. But before we go, this isn't nostalgia, of course, folks. This is the Friday feeling. Before we go too far down memory lane. But yes, before we go any further, let's do all that good stuff, folks. Let's do it together. So hit that like button, get the old traction of the bus going, get us recommended in more people's inboxes with the old algorithms on YouTube, because that's how it works. Interactive channels get more traction. So hit the old like button if you want, and get involved in our comment section. So let's do a roll call and let's see who's in tonight. And it's a busy one already, I can see. So El Gotham says he was standing at the bus stop an hour early. He's keen. Well, we're here now, so hopefully we will worth the wait, El Celtic. Anthony Menzies is here. Jim C is here. Joe Henry. Alan Mockler. Graham Tyrrell, has he got the klaxon lined up? That is the question. I'm sure he has. Still the glove is here. Oh, dear. Who else have we got? Scrolling down a bit further. Oh, Joe Henry in. And Ian McIntosh is in. Alex Forsyth is in. As I say, all the favourites, all killer, no filler, all the hits on a Friday night on the bus. And hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. If you're a new viewer to the channel and only just discovered this, then keep us in your life just that little bit longer. Hit the subscribe button with the bell notification and you'll be notified when the bus is on the road. And finally, you can still share the link of the Voice of Us far and wide on whatever social media platform tickles your fancy. Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever it's called these days. I think there's a few other new ones like Blue Sky and whatnot. Anyway, Facebook, whatever you want to share it, then go right ahead. Bebo, MySpace, yes. And still head over to piesports.com and still use the code BUS1888 and get 12.5% off of your order. And what's that here? A question from the back there. Who's the mystery player tonight? Well, you're in luck. There is indeed a mystery player who's hidden behind the Boise Bus logo. I get a funny feeling Liam's going to know who this is, but don't shout out the answer until the end. But tonight's mystery player hidden behind the Boise Bus logo. He played for Auxerre, Paris Saint-Germain, Stade Rennes, and then he came to Celtic, and then he finished career at Hearts. Unlucky, mate, finishing at Tynecastle. No joy. But yes, that is tonight's mystery player hidden behind the Boise Bus logo. Auxerre, Paris Saint-Germain, Stade Rennes, Celtic, and Hearts. We will talk about them at the end of the show. And well, that's said and done. I think there's only one place to start tonight, guys, because there's been a eventful time, and in the last week we have managed to extend our lead at the top of the table. last week when I did the Friday feeling, it was all about 5 wins to glory. Well, now 3 is indeed the magic number, because after the results last weekend, it's just going to be 3 more wins to the title. There are still 3 trophies for Celtic to win. We've already got the League Cup. We've got one hand on the league title. And of course, the Scottish Cup is what we'll be focusing on this week with the quarterfinals against Hibs. But yes, 3 is indeed the theme tonight. And yeah, with the results last week after beating St Mirren and losing against Motherwell. Yes, we now find ourselves in a good position. And there's one man that I think we need to start with the performance we've been putting in. And it is this guy right here. Player of the month, Daizen Maeda. I mean, it goes without saying, Russell, and it's a very obvious, silly sounding question, but how good? Can we put any words how good Daizen Maeda has become? I think it's safe to say, as much as we all loved Kyogo and he was fantastic, Maeda is a much more valuable player to the way this team plays. If we'd lost him, could be a different story. I mean, at the start of the season, him and Kuhn were obviously doing some brilliant numbers together, just going toe to toe essentially. But in recent weeks, and this guy, Maeda, rolled well ahead and the deserved Player of the Month award, Russell.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because it feels like we've got to this sort of situation where we rate Maeda maybe ahead of Kyogo a bit late, because when they actually arrived, if you remember, the regular starter for Japan up front was Maeda, and the one who made all the Japanese squads without fail was Maeda. The one who played was it the World Cup? He was it.
The World Cup in 2022. Yeah, he played in the World Cup. Yeah.
So again, we might not have been able to see it then, but I think it's another example of what Rodgers does with players. Just because Ange knew that market doesn't necessarily mean he evolves players as well as Brendan does. This is just another prime example of him making players better. And I think right now what he's added to his game, I've said it loads of times in the PMP shows, is the composure. He now thinks so much more about what he's doing, but he's got the confidence to execute it at that same pace, where before it was everything was at pace, little thought. If it comes off, hallelujah. If it doesn't, well, try again. As Mark once said, he's got the brassest neck in football. He's the type of guy who can miss 3 open goals, then try an overhead kick with 20 yards 10 minutes later, not even thinking about the misses. But now it just feels like everything he does is a wee bit more, I don't know, thought out. And again, execution's key though. He just seems to, everything about his game has evolved, as I say, and matured. Another thing is with Maeda as well. I mean, what he's done in terms of different positions this season has been really impressive as well, because the main numbers he was getting, he was just slightly behind Nicholas Kuhn, but he was playing on the wing. He's went up top, mate, and he's just as a fact, if you did a poll, who would you rather see start Celtic's next, big match, if you like, a cup final if we were to make it there, and it was a straight shootout between Ida or Maeda up front, everyone vote for Maeda. And that's proper kudos to him, by the way, for being able to just play those 2 roles with such effect. He's one of these guys as well, where I think because his technique, let's be real, doesn't always look that easy on the eye. I think he's went under the radar.
Yeah.
With, he's not you look at Matt O'Reilly, everything Matt O'Reilly did well also looked brilliant. Do you know what I mean? And he was always going to get those, the interest from bigger leagues. The thing with Maeda, he's just one of those ones you might be able to dodge the bullets on, just purely because they're like, it's just him in the English Premier League just doesn't play the same way as the rest. And if anyone was going to have signed him, it would have been Postecoglou.
Yeah.
And if anyone was going to, so he might be one of these guys that is so super effective for us, but doesn't actually garner that interest that usually when players are playing at the level he is for us on a consistent basis normally do get. Just got a mad feeling he might be one that they don't feel as confident of taking a punt on. And hey, he's entering his peak years right now. But so far this season, I think he's took his game to another level. And again, it's all about him, of course, but it's no coincidence to me that his whole game's dramatically improved with the Rodgers effect.
the word would probably be unorthodox to describe him. But then again, I've used this description loads of times on the bus talking about him. And now the more I think about it, in recent times, I'm struggling to find examples of it. I'd always say, like, he had the similarities to Samaras in the way that 1 minute he could fall on his face and trip over the ball, and then the next minute score a screamer. But the mistakes seem to be becoming less and less. It's like, I say, it's not... He's definitely improved. And one of the... Ian McIntosh coming with some serious high praise here, saying, Brendan's done a Suarez with Daizen. Well, Daizen's definitely got more bite to his game, but it's not that type of bite, obviously, that old Louis had, to be honest. But yeah, he's composure is the word. And I think it all started actually with remember he scored the Ibrox in a 2-2 draw, and that was under Postecoglou, but it's continued under Brendan Rodgers, where he was in one-on-one on goal. And I can remember him running through a couple of minutes into the game. He beat, I think Morelos basically teed it up to him, and he beat Goldson, he beat Tavernier, and he's one-on-one with McGregor. And in that situation, you don't know with Daizen Maeda, but he tucked it away. And then, yeah, since then, you know, he's just, as I say, the composure's been fantastic, and the massive improvements to his game. It goes without saying. And of course, one of the things Liam and Gary
Phil was almost Gaza-esque at Euro 96.
The one at the cup.
The way he took that first touch over and then just slots it home so calm. I'm telling you right now, that would have been a moment talked about more if it was last season with Maeda. But the expectancy levels now going up. It's crazy.
That was the cup final one where I broke to him, and then what a moment. And the Maeda final ended up being. And yes, thank you very much. 22 months of 420 somewhere. Nice one. Thank you very much, man. God bless the bus. Yes, we appreciate it, mate. And thanks for renewing the old membership. 22 months. Yeah. Thanks for sticking in there, mate. And but yeah, Liam, I was going to say the Gary Brown's comment about the energy, which again is just it's remarkable how much this guy. I remember last season we had a game where we went down to 10 men. Joe Hart got sent off at Livingston, and we still won the game 3-0. And I remember after the game, Brendan Rodgers saying, when you've got Daizen Maeda in your team, you've always got 11 men essentially because of the work he does. And some of the games recently against like Dundee at home, we beat Aberdeen the other week as well, big wins and that. And, you know, late in the game, winning 4 or 5 goals ahead, and he's still just chasing down defenders, not giving them a single minute, Liam. And does this guy ever sleep? Does he ever take a rest? He's like the Duracell bunny, mate. He just keeps going and going. He's Brendan's right. He is like 2 men on the park with the work he does.
Has anybody seen Yang's girlfriend? Because I think she's having an effect on all our players, maybe, you know? You know what? It just looks like he's learned something. You know when you're trying to learn anything difficult and that, and you finally pick it up and you get it. Like, I watch it with my son with skateboard tricks and stuff. He looks like he's just sort of got it. It's something that's changed in his game or his philosophy to the game, how he sees it, nerves, whatever it is. He's made some sort of transition, and you can see that in his football. You can see it in his confidence. I mean, Player of the Month. We were all disappointed because the one player that was going to miss the first Bayern game was Maeda, you know, and then we got that reprieve at the end of the one as well, where we got to see him in Germany, and what a difference that made. That makes. I think he's on everybody's radar now. I think that game against Bayern, watching a forward track down at the end of the game the way he was doing, or you know, just closing down defenders, and that amounts of speed, and then the technical efficiency he's building right now to put away all sorts of different styles of goals. He's not got one things where he's just sort of like, you know, he's linked it like the way Callum McGregor hits it. A lot of his goals look the same for that wee bit, and he's got that. He knows he can release it there. Where, as Russell was just saying, the variety of his goals, that first touch that he did there on Sunday or Saturday when he took that ball down, it's almost like he dragged it behind him to go in and then gave him enough space to latch onto it and just finish it with precision. I think you know, that will be the player that shatters their transfer records, because I can't imagine many coaches looking and not think, wow, I could do a bit more speed there and know that I can offset it with goal scoring as well. There's no many players like him, you know.
I wonder, though, if you're the man writing the checks, you think the same. Because he's just that, like, the unorthodox comment that Phil makes is not as easy on the eye. And I think if you're writing the checks, you're talking about 30, 40 million.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you get that conviction or that belief from the guy who's writing that check. As I say, I'm not convinced.
Well, I don't know. I think you look at the goals right now, like who's scoring goals at the rate Maeda is right now. I think he's one of the most on-form players on the planet, and you've seen him do it in Europe this year as well. He's got a couple of goals in his tally there. And if you look at the rubbish that's getting bought, you know, I think we've still, you know, Ollie Burks and all that out there, and the money that's getting paid for these like average players or prospects, young English players. Yeah, I think it's an opportunity. I think you've got the data and the analytics to show right now that you would get value for money no matter what price you pay for Maeda, and the going price for a top striker right now is in excess of 40 million, right?
Yeah, but he also gives you a lot more than just the goals. He is a unique player. I have not seen a player like him in the best part of 50 years of watching Celtic. I have never seen anybody like him. And you know, you said earlier on there, Russell, about his composure. I think he's almost put in effect a good old Scottish saying, because I always thought he was always a hurry-scurry player, and that was a part of his problem. Everything was always hurry-scurry. Now, my mother used to always say to me, good old Scottish saying, less hurry, more speed. And there's no way you can get more speed out of him, but because he's got less hurry, he's got so much more composure about it. He's thinking about it. He's slowing things down just a fraction when it comes to the actual possession of the ball, and being able to sort of think about what he's going to do rather than just, how many times did we see him when, you know, playing out wide and he'd get in good positions and the ball was more likely to land up in my living room than it would be, you know, in the penalty box, like, you know. And I think that's what he's doing. And it's the fact he's so unique. I can't understand. David, I think, you know, my David, he's probably sitting there quite smugly at the minute because he's been championing Maeda almost. It was a comical thing with David, wasn't it? You know, prediction on a Friday night, Phil, prediction for the game on Maeda hat-trick. Well, he scored 2 this season so far, hasn't he? But David was always championing Maeda, and he's now becoming the player that we've all wanted him to be for the last 2 years. We were all desperate for him to do it because we like how, you know, when going back to when foreign players first started coming to play in Scotland, you know, and for Celtic and for whatever team you supported, you really wanted, for some reason, we wanted these guys to do really well, and we wanted Maeda to do really well, and he was show little signs. 4 minutes into his debut, he scores against Hibs. And we're thinking, oh, we've got a man here. And then we were just getting bets. Well, not quite sure. But now we're getting those bets. And now we are quite sure. And I tend to agree with Liam, Russell. I think somebody somewhere, you know, I'm a bit worried when I hear things like Carter Vickers say, I was speaking to Eric Dyer and the whole Bayern team are just talking about this guy. Well, that whole Bayern Munich team's talking about him or thinking about him. So's Vincent Kompany,
Yeah, I suppose that's fair. I'm thinking of the English Premier League, but you're right. Yeah. There's other big leagues out there that can spend a lot of money. I think they'd be more open to it than the EPL, if I'm honest. But not just that as well. What would be such a big loss, which is just annoying, is he's added the sentimental bit to it now as well. He's added like the emotional side, bringing these kids out on the pitch. Even when he got sent off, sorry for causing us trouble or something like that.
Did you notice he did Russell, see when he gets sent off as well against your boys? Did you notice he did a wee bow when he went to the sideline? It's like obviously, you know, Japanese heritage. That as he walked off the sideline, he turned around quickly and did like a wee bow. Aye, like, sorry.
What was it? He said sorry for causing trouble. Something like that. Yeah. Thing you'd say to the head teacher at school. You know, you go back into class and go, sorry for causing trouble. You know what I mean? I just think that bit of it has been added as well. And it's like, I'll make it a wee bit trickier too, if it were to happen. But I'm very hopeful. If not, but like I say, to be totally honest with you, I do feel as well, we're the ones late to the party. Because it's quite clear that over in Japan, they're in the pecking order, he was always Eddie Kyogo. That's not me criticising Kyogo in any way, shape or form. I'm just saying who was higher rated, and it was always Maeda. And I think now we're beginning to see that player. But again, He's one of these guys as well. When you say unique, he's also someone that anyone who joins the club, even some who've already been there, can learn from. You watch that attitude and application. If he's like that, and Brendan said at the presser, he's like that in training as well. The exact same every single day. See that? You can only good can come from that. That rubs off, and no one can maybe match it or equal it. But what a fantastic influence to be seeing day in, day out of how to look after yourself, how to dedicate yourself to the game, and how to fucking try hard. You know? It can only be, there's loads of positives, but bringing these kids on and that now, I'm like, fuck. Now I like you as well. You know, I didn't need the human aspects, you know what I mean? Fuck's sake.
No, Russell, it bothers me that Rodgers, did he not play him centre forward when he first came to us when we played away in that tournament?
He played a friendly out in Japan, he played for mid.
And he started with Maeda up front. Mm-hmm. And then he talked about Maeda being a striker, and then it never happened for a while. And I think that's sometimes some of the things that, you know, I'm critical of Rodgers, and very much in this time as well, where even when it was becoming a guessing game of who would start, Ida or Maeda, I thought Maeda is miles ahead of Ida as a striker, right? The other thing as well is, so at what point do you think there was, why did he not see this in training if you see it? And we could have been using Maeda as a striker when we were clearly struggling with Kyogo in Champions League games and stuff.
Because he contributed that many goals and assists for the wing, I would guess would be.
Well, I'll throw a suggestion in there, just speculating, just of what I saw with my own eyes and how it played out. I can remember last season, early on in Brendan's return, Russell, a few times on some PMPs, you highlighted that you felt Kyogo was dropping a bit deeper, and you felt maybe the idea was he was telling him to drop deeper to get used to maybe the chance that he's going to play maybe behind the main striker. But I think Maeda never got moved into that position because the options on the wing last season weren't as good. Palmer came in, had a pretty good start, and then petered off. Yang, we're only starting to see now. We're all going to talk about Yang in a wee bit, but obviously Yang came in and nobody knew what we had with Yang. James Forrest, though he became reliable at the end of the season, but at the time, the idea of James Forrest becoming a regular starter again in the Celtic team a year ago, it was just, I think with Brendan's options last season, I think there might have been an idea early on about doing that, but I think he quickly realised if I take him off the wing, then, because Kuhn hadn't arrived yet until January as well, so I think that might have played a part at Liam.
Aye, no, it's one of the things I always wondered, because we always knew Kyogo could play the wing as well, and I'm surprised Rodgers didn't try inverting them much earlier when at times they would both look like they were struggling, you know. But good problem.
Is it not interesting as well now, Jota's in the building, that we are now seeing Maeda even start games where Ida could? So maybe it is a Kenny did. And again, those numbers that Maeda was producing, it's quite a difficult one to kind of pitch. Like, I'm going to take you out of that position when it's going that well, and it is going to be Yang who's coming in your place on wide, where I've got a 9 million striker and I've got the darling of the fans up top of the before. I do get it to a point, but it is interesting as well that now, not just that Kyogo's left, but Jota being in there as that extra wide option, you are now seeing the more sort of willingness to play Maeda through the middle. And I wonder, it's just he's bulked up his options now for the wide areas of real quality with Jota joining, and that makes him more relaxed about playing Maeda through the middle. Do you know what I mean?
Aye. I think now, between now and the end of the season, we've got one game a week, so this is a chance for, I think what we're happening now is we're hitting a time where Rodgers is starting to see his best team, and I think we're seeing it all as fans as well. I know what our best 11 is now, and I think we all see that right now, and that's that team that's been starting regularly with Jeffrey Schlupp at the back and Maeda in the middle, you know, Jota on the wing. I think that looks to me, that's the best Celtic team or squad that I've seen that looks composed together in a while. You know, Trusty maybe a wee bit off still, but you know, other than that, I think we've got a pretty settled team looks really good.
That's what we need. We've only got one game a week now through to the end of the season, so there's no excuse to be chopping and changing it just because, unless it's an injury and you have to chop and change it, or a suspension. But otherwise, yeah, it needs to be strongest team until we've got this title all officially wrapped up, and obviously the Scottish Cup as well. But Johnny, we're talking about Maeda's numbers. You know who's somebody who I'd imagine is taking a close look in Maeda's current form and numbers, because we might be playing them in a week's and a half time. James Tavernier and Rangers. I see he's changed position recently. We mentioned it on, I think, the previous Friday Feeling, or maybe the week before, Liam, that it's quite funny that there was a game recently that Tavernier went into the middle with the defence, and just about at the same time that Daizen Maeda begins playing through the middle for Celtic. So it's like, no, James, you can run, but you can't hide, son.
You can't hide, son. Yeah.
He's coming to get you no matter what. And right now, I'd imagine, I say James Tavernier's maybe looking closely, but I think he's maybe hiding behind the couch right now with how well Maeda's playing. Because every game that we go into him against them, he seems to be the one that we need to target. And Maeda gives him all sorts of hell. And yeah, we're getting peak Maeda right now. So yeah, I'd imagine a few sleepless nights for the Rangers captain right now. Johnny?
I would imagine so, but he might well be back out in his right back berth. It's a week on Sunday, isn't it? Yeah.
A week on Sunday, about 10 days, 9 days.
I think it's going to go on. He'll need to be back on his right back berth, and that's not really going to help him that much because he's going to be up against Jota, which might not be. But I think if he's playing in centre half, centre halves tend to play in partnerships, don't they? Whether they're any good or not, it's another matter. But playing in a partnership might be a slightly different scenario, if you like. But I still would imagine that he'll be still a bit concerned about the man from Japan coming to terrorise him again. But because he's not a great big massive lad, and you think he's fantastic in the air, but he gets his fair share of headers as well, doesn't he? This Daizen, like he's scored a few headers, and so he brings a whole sort of different set of tricks. But I think Tavernier will be a bit more comfortable if he's playing in a partnership rather than playing out, not isolated as such, but having to, it'd be easier for him to keep an eye on and know where Maeda is. Whereas, because we've seen the amount of times that he's just had no idea Maeda was even within 10 yards of him. Never mind.
See in training, I bet you in training recently he's just been picking up the number 5 bib. Oh shit! Sorry, thought it was mine. Thought it was planting seeds left, right, and centre. He's a big centre back. But do you know what? We'll put Maeda up top if that's the case.
Aye. Well, I can't help but feel no matter what Rangers do on that game, wherever they play Tavernier, at some point during the game, Maeda's going to be up against them 1-1, where either starts the game, Maeda's out wide, Maeda goes into the middle later on. Because Tavernier's their captain, so he's going to start. That's one of the things, because obviously in the last game we played against him, he didn't start because he was injured. And amazingly, Maeda was ineffective. But now that he's back in the good books again, and he's a club captain, they'll play him. But if it's through the middle, I think at some point there's going to be moments in that game where Maeda's going to be up against them. And yeah, we know how that usually goes. And fingers crossed it's another one of those days for us. But Russell, let's talk about another...
You can say that about any player, though, to be fair. At some point, Maeda will be up against you. Because he is every single part of the pitch, you know what I mean? At some point,
chasing
you can be up against Maeda.
Chasing down Cyril Dessers and stuff like that in the final third, just closing them down, just all over the place, man. He's a one-man team. He just really is. He does everybody's shift for them, essentially. But yeah, Russell, let's talk about another wing, obviously, and a simple question that's been doing the rounds in the old Celtic fan Twitter and whatnot recently. Are you in the Yang gang, Russell? What do you make of Yang's rise to prominence recently? I said a couple of weeks ago on the Friday Feeling, this was before Yang hit this little purple patch, because it was a roundabout. We played Bayern at home, and he had a cameo in that game when he came on, and he looked lively. A lot of people were saying, he was really involved. But to me, I'm just like, I still felt at that time, I was like, it's all well and good running at tired defenders, running in a straight line, but there has to be an end product. He has to treat every appearance now from the end of the season like an audition, because to me, he's on the chopping block. His Celtic career's on the line, really, because he has not shown much, but in the last few games, goal against Aberdeen, and obviously last week coming on against St Mirren, and scoring twice and getting one disallowed as well, which, to be fair, was very far offside. But we're actually seeing some end product from Yang. And yeah, Russell, I take it for the shake of the head, you're not in the Yang gang yet, mate. You're not jumping on that bandwagon.
He's just held to a lower standard than other players are. If we're gonna go by like numbers and think, he's added what? The thing that our other two wingers are miles clear of in the stats race, goals and assists. He's now added it to his fucking game. 15, 20 chances in. See if you applied the same logic, Louis Palmer would not be getting chased at the door. Like, he had those numbers the first half of his first season at Celtic. I don't understand. Like, he's just not in a bad, but it's just now like he come on, he was lively. I'd be fucking lively. I mean, Bayern Munich in the Champions League, he's fucking lively. Well done, mate. And see all that shite, like, oh, I would start him in Germany. I'm like, shut up. Like, see all that crap. It's just not like he didn't give the ball away, you know, the 3 times he had the ball. Then you seen when we were away from home what he was really all about. You remember he came on? No?
Yeah. We had a massive drop on that side.
He fucking hid. Absolutely hopeless. I mean, the fact 2 of his fucking recent goals are headers shows that he's got not a Scooby what he's doing. Like, these are like, that's not really by design, is it? You know, that's what the wingers are.
At least he's putting in the net, Russell. At least he's putting in the net.
He's found the net 3 times this season. The other wingers are our top scorers. He's found it 3 fucking times. And by the way, once everything's kind of said and done domestically in the league, not when it matters, not when it's nip and tuck. Give me peace. Honestly, see if he's like getting like loads of praise for a couple of like fucking good games when he's been given mere chances. Honestly, unbelievable. The amount of opportunities he's been given for producing absolute niche. And yet all the hate was to Lewis Palmer, who I guarantee you in 3 years' time, if Yang still stays at Celtic, Palmer will still have more goals and assists in a Celtic jersey than him. That's just the way it, like, and he did that in his first 6 months because he was held to that standard after that. See if you just start shite at Celtic, you keep getting in. Suddenly you're getting like rave reviews for fucking passing the ball accurately 3 times. He's improving, eh? What a fucking cop-out. Honestly, he's held to a really low standard. He's nowhere near it. Absolutely not. And fair play to him. I'd be buzzing if I scored for Celtic as well, but to be fair, it's just as unlikely as him doing it, so good on him.
Oh, he's a hard taskmaster, Liam, but that's a fair point. A lot of fair, valid points there made. So, but yeah, Liam, how are you feeling about this Yang? Because again, my mentality is, I just want to know that if he's going to come on between now and the end of the season, he's not just an empty jersey. There has to be something, you know, assists, goals, whatever, just to, you know, get this treble over the line. And I say he has added that, and that's a fair point for Russell. He's been here for 18 months, 19 months now, and we're only starting to see a few goals and whatnot. Last season, he got 2 goals all season. But yeah, he's got 3 in the last like 3 weeks or whatever. But yeah, how are you feeling then about the old Yang resurgence right now, Liam?
Like Big Lebowski said, why are you so angry, man? Oh my God. Honestly, I thought he's came on. I thought he's played well. Just like, is that the coaching staff? Are we seeing something now where we're seeing a different part of his game? It looks like he's built up. It looks more physical than what I seen him. It was weird seeing him celebrating the goal and amongst the players, and it's like, oh, he's one of our taller players as well.
I agree with you. It was weird seeing him celebrate a goal. I agree with that bit.
He celebrated 2, Russell, and an assist. So, I mean, he came on at 2-2. So that game wasn't done at that point. He came on at 2-2, and I think he scored a very good goal in the first one. Brilliant pick out for Jota. And I think what he's shown in his last couple of games, that there is a player there, and there is improvement. And I see what you say about, playing, if you play everybody every game, I've had the same problem with Greg Taylor, Russell. You know, I don't see what he offers. But I've always been able to sort of point out when he scored a goal or made a contribution that he's played well. I think right now Yang is playing well. And I think Roger's comment about his girlfriend being here and cooking for him and things like that. I mean, I think you look at a lot of these kids that come over here from like places like Korea and that, the time to settle into Celtic might be a lot longer than it took, say, Mikey Johnson to set in.
You know what I mean? Doesn't change whatever country you're in. Can you either cook or you can't?
Completely different. You ever had Korean food? It's a lot different, not British or North American food. I mean,
you must be able to get that though.
What's that?
He must be able to source whatever he was eating. No?
We've got a huge restaurant there in Lincoln anyway. I know that much.
Yeah, I mean,
it must be in Glasgow. There has to be Korean.
The fact he's got somebody to talk to in his own language and that as well. And I mean, whatever all these things are, right? I think what you're seeing is a player that might be settling, and maybe the coaching staff are actually the same thing in his game that they saw in Maeda, that is saying, okay, he's maybe on the same projection because they're training the same way, So I don't know. I think I'm happy to see him playing well. I think he got a lot more of a chance than some of our other boys have, to actually find that sort of form. But he's found the form. Now, it just comes down to consistency. That's what killed Palmer. Palmer can get us to a level, and our expectations were, wow, this guy's good. He's going to do this every game. And then he started disappearing. If Yang goes back on a disappearing act again, Harry Potter, magic in the first half, disappears in the second, then I think he's gone.
He's not capable of magic, mate.
What's that?
He's not capable of magic, mate.
He was magic in the weekend. Come on.
Mate, once. The ratio is unbelievable, though. Like, the ratio is ridiculous. At one point, he was averaging a goal contribution once every 300-odd minutes. As a Celtic winger.
Every 55 minutes.
Sorry?
And in 2025, he's every 55 minutes.
Mate, how many games has he played in 2025? This is crazy.
There's a goal contribution.
I'm watching.
5 minutes. Either active with that start or no. You just said there's 300 minutes. Well, he's definitely improved because now it's every 55 minutes.
In this calendar year.
In this calendar
season in
to
two
be
for
fair,
him
he has improved, but he's improved from a very low bar. I mean, the bar was
only get better.
I'll agree with you, Liam. I think there is a player there. I just don't think it's a Celtic player. I'm in Russell's camp here. I might not be quite as scathing as Russell was when he put it there, but I just don't see him as a. I said to Phil before we came on that because we talked about him obviously, but I thought you give me a fully fit squad playing the particularly Kuhn or Maeda or Jota, he doesn't get anywhere near. He doesn't get anywhere near the team. Yeah. He doesn't. He can't. I've yet. I mean, I didn't see the game against St Mirren. I've only seen the goal highlights. And to be fair to the guy, that was a pretty. That was a good ball through for setting up for Maeda. It was a good ball through. But I mean, I'm 63 and I've managed to play a couple of decent balls through, but I was never a football player. And I just. Yeah, I agree with you, Liam. There's a player there, but it's not a Celtic player. I don't think he'll ever be a Celtic player.
Yeah, I don't think he's a first team 11, but I think right now, bring him on as Impact's sub right now, I think he's shown a promise right now I'm looking forward to him coming on and seeing him changing the game. But if he doesn't, and you see him reverting back to that sort of not tracking, if the girlfriend goes away and then he just disappears back into his shell again, I don't know. I think this is a fresh start for him. He should be. Hopefully, he can move on for this type of form and make it a bit more consistent. And that's all we ask for: consistency.
Yeah. 420 somewhere. Yes, I'm just sitting back with the popcorn. I'm enjoying this one because that's what it's all about. It's all about debate. It's absolutely fine in the chat as well. There's plenty of people who are in support of Yang can see a player, and there's plenty who are like, no, he's pish. Russell's right. So that's what it's all about. You get involved in the old debate.
It's crazy though. Your starting point is awful. So bad. Right? Palmer's starting point is double figures goals, double figures assists. When he falls off, you lose faith completely in it. Yep. He's not given the opportunity to get back to that form, right? Even in a lot of fans' minds' eyes, if not 90%. Yang, though, he's given the opportunity to go back to being shite before you make your judgment on him. Just
as a matter of interest, how's Palmer doing out in Greece at the minute?
He scored against for Olympiacos against AEK Athens. Pretty big derby. He scored.
That's a big one. Yep.
But how else overall since he went out there?
I don't know. You need to ask his girlfriend. It's the only way players can play these days. Fuck me, man.
I think on the point, Lee, that you made about him getting chances, I don't think that was necessarily by design. I think it was just the way that the chips fell because, again, injuries and the form of Palmer dropped off. That Yang was just because there was a point there where Brendan was throwing them on, and I was just like, he's only throwing them on because we've got no options. Before Jota came back, and the winger options on the bench were literally Yang or Palmer. And in fact, David Logue asked this on a Tuesday ticket a while ago, said to me and Regan, if we're going to go by the numbers, going by that, rather than, XG and all that stuff. We're going to go by what we've seen in terms of on the park. If you turn to the bench, you've got Yang and Palmer. Who would you throw on in that situation? And both me and Regan said, well, it'd have to be Palmer, because at that point Yang was doing diddly squat every time he came on. But I say right now, through the end of the season, I said it again, every game needs to be an audition for him, because to me he is still on the chopping block, very much so. Brendan may also have that mentality as well, but it's like, it's great you're chipping in now, son, but ultimately he doesn't see much of a chance for him going forward. Again, we'll need to wait and see on that one. But for the time being, he's contributing something, which is better than nothing. But I agree with Russell's point about, he's had 18 months of pretty much mediocrity. In fact, mediocrity
late to the party.
Yeah, mediocrity would be quite generous.
Genius, if you've got a steady trajectory of just getting better for absolute depths of shite, and you just, you are obviously naturally going to improve. It's amazing the positive feedback you can get. Start with a bang, absolutely smash out of the park, then have a dip. Oof, that's you. Persona non grata. Fucking mental, man. Honestly, he's nowhere near it.
Well,
will be.
Well, we'll see what the future holds for the Bold Yang over the next few weeks.
Yeah,
but for the moment, it's Kuhn, Maeda, and Jota, the first choice winger options rotated around, and Yang should only stay as a sub. I know because there was obviously that game a couple of weeks ago where people were shouting that he should start against Dundee United, and then he did, and hee-haw in the game. So maybe he's just better as an impact sub if he is getting anything to him. But anyway, we'll move on from Yang. And we'll start to look forward to the Hibs game, because I said at the top of the show, and of course the theme of the show, 3 is indeed the magic number, because 3 victories from the league title and 3 trophies to win this season. One of them's already in the trophy cabinet, and we now turn our attention to the Scottish Cup. We're looking to retain it.
3 points last night. Coefficient points, of course.
Coefficient points, of course. Yes, indeed. Aye.
Even when we don't play well, we get 3 points. Even when we don't play, we get 3 points. Fucking amazing, man. What a team.
Superb. Just keep topping us up. Just keep doing that, boys. Yes, indeed. So that was an unexpected bonus, I guess you could say. But that should help in the next couple of years in the old coefficients when we win the title. But yes, Scottish Cup, and it's interesting one. Hibs coming to town. They beat us recently, albeit controversial manner, because we've seen the VAR show was out tonight. Willie Collins' VAR show, and they talked about that incident at Easter Road. And as many of us said, if you can't conclusively prove it, you cannot disallow that goal. To which Willie Collins agreed to that point and said, yes, it should have been disallowed. But hey, it's one of those, just need to suck it up, Celtic. We'll learn from this. I'm sure they will. Well, we'll see. But Hibs are obviously bringing 7,000 away fans in that region. They asked for the 7,000 tickets, and then it's up to them to sell them. The last I'd heard was Hibs had sold over 6,000. So it's going to be... Sold them all. So there we go. The full whack sold. It's going to be odd to be at Celtic Park to see an away end that size, and it's not a sea of red, white, and blue. It's going to be quite interesting to see that. It's maybe the first time this has happened when it's a team that's not Rangers. We had an away allocation of that size. But fair play to Hibs. They've actually managed to sell it out. It should be a decent contest because they are one of the Forum teams right now, Russell. And even though, we're at home, and obviously our Forum has been excellent at home in the last, since Brendan came back, we still can't take them lightly, and it's a cup game. You're not going to see Hibs sitting back and playing for a 0-0 draw here. They're going to fancy it. They're going to come at us, and that might benefit us if they're wide open. Then maybe we can pick them off. But it should be it's justifiably the tie of the round, and it should be a spectacle on Sunday, mate. Yeah.
Aye, their turnaround, their form's unbelievable. To be fair, I thought he was going to be waving the white flag, David Gray, but the only white thing I've seen for him is White Ladder. Good album. But I'm shocked at how much they've turned it around. But at the same time, I think this part of the season, as Brendan says, Celtic come alive. And I think, as much as there's loads of the fans there and stuff, I don't think it'll matter. I think when it comes to these sort of games, we just turn the screw a bit. I'm very confident with that. But fair play to them for even making it now something that does seem such a balanced tie or balanced draw to get, do you know what I mean? Because see if that draw had been made 3 months ago, you'd be laughing. You wouldn't believe that he would still be the manager. So it is it's quite a turnaround for them. But I think these sort of games is what sort of Rodgers is defined by domestically in Scotland. I think it'll be no complacency. That doesn't even creep into it. But I think it'll be a comfortable win, in my opinion. But we'll see. And the 7,000 fans thing is a good thing.
Yeah, it is.
It makes the spectacle a bit better. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if there's too many that like getting left out for seats. I'm sure Celtic still have quite a lot of tickets they can still sell at this point in time too. So it takes away that argument that, you know, folk are missing out. Do you know what I mean? For away fans, I think there's still you can buy tickets for the home end. So I think it'll be a good tie up to a point, and I expect us to run away with it eventually.
Yeah, definitely. It's as far as I know, Celtic are either fully sold out now as well, or you can only buy single tickets now. You can't buy like 2 seats together in general sale. And anyone that was affected by the Hibs fans getting their seat, they'll be relocated. They'll have been sent to a different part of the stadium because there would have been plenty of seats for them to be moved to. And yeah, the rest of them go on general sale essentially. So I think we're pretty much close to a sellout, or it is sold out now. So yeah, it should definitely make it a spectacle. But in terms of some of the team selection, Liam, the forwards now, obviously we've waxed lyrical for most of the show about Maeda. Fun fact, Maeda has scored more goals, I believe, against Hibs than anybody else in his time in Scotland as well. He even scored in his debut against Hibs, and that set the tone early in the season. He played up front through the middle against them in the League Cup game that we played at Celtic Park, and I think he scored twice that day. I want to say he scored 2, and I think Nicholas Kuhn scored the other one. So yeah, he does enjoy a game against Hibs. I can remember one under Ange where Eleanor's talking about the classic Daizen Maeda, where 1 minute will fall over, then the next minute will score an absolute thunder bastard, and he did in that game. He missed a header right on the goal line.
Header, didn't he? Yeah.
Somehow he missed a header like 1 yard out. Might hit the crossbar, I think it was, and then but 2 minutes later picks the ball up on the left hand side, beats about 3 Hibs players, and then bends it with his right foot right in the top corner from outside the box because the ballad of Daizen Maeda to a T. But I would expect with the current form again, and you have said, Liam, about the strongest 11, there's going to be no chances taken here. This isn't a case of, I'll give this guy a wee run out. I think Brendan wants that treble. He's probably still bruised about that Kilmarnock game 18 months ago. That probably still ups him, you know. So it's like, no. Trebles is what he does up here, and it will be, I think, Maeda, and I think it'll be Jota, and Kuhn will be the front three, and Ida will just have to come on when he comes on, and well, again, he'll just have to pass the audition when he comes on, make sure that he makes an impact when he does come on. But for me, it's they three that need to start tomorrow up front.
Listen, I think if it's squeaky time, you leave. You don't bring him on. You leave Maeda on. Maeda can go 90 minutes. You know, so I don't think one of the players you always have to look at replacing, because Rodgers usually does play him in 90 minutes. He'll move him to the wing or so before he takes him off. This is a game that stands between us and the treble. So you're right. So Rodgers needs to be getting his team up for that. We know, you know, it's not for points. It's for, you know, moving ahead. So they will open up. I think the number 3 is very significant here, right? It's the treble. I think you look at our number 3 that might have to play there. I think that.
I knew that was coming. I was
trying.
When he said number 3, I knew that was what was coming. Yeah. I knew it.
Well, I think it has to be. Look at the way we started with him last time. We played Greg Taylor there at the start of it, and then was that one of his cameos where he was replaced at half time? I think it was.
It was actually, yeah. Schlupp came on at half time. Yeah. That's right.
We looked a lot better going ahead, and I think if we had that goal that was fairly chopped off, then I think we've seen a much different game. We were definitely coming onto the momentum in that there. And so there was a lot of significance in that. But I think as well too, I mean, they tend to bully Greg Taylor. And look at all the games we played against Hibs. He's not had a standout game against them. And so I think any team that has a predominantly Scottish forward line, people that know Greg Taylor, tend to bully him. And I think that's where we will look weak. But if we play Jeffrey Schlupp, 3-0. You know,
Schlupp will definitely start. Definitely.
I hope so.
That's his man now. No, I think that's his man, Liam.
We look so much powerful with him in the squad. It's like he's coachable, because you see him making the similar runs and all that as well. But he's got, like, Greg Taylor's probably an extremely coachable player that he does what he's told and all that and stuff, but he doesn't do the grey area stuff. It's like win boys and fight. and battle and things like that. That's what he doesn't do. And I think with Schlupp, I'll look at him and I say, my God, that's a guy that's commanding in the air, which is, we always have that problems with aerial balls against teams like Hibs with Big Rocky and all the guys, it's a solid team. And then
he's got proper technical ability as well.
So
that was cracking goal he scored last weekend. You see
he did score,
the technique in that, like
that ball had the way he picked
it. The first time he's tried that, he had the post the other week there as well, didn't he? So
against Dundee United, that would have been an absolute screamer.
Exact same type shot as well, John.
Yeah.
Both those, you could see it's part of his, same way that Callum's got that favourite place he likes to shoot from. You can see that Schlupp knows that, okay, when I'm in this area, I can unleash one, because when you see the reverse angle in that one, that ball had eyes. It just sort of curled right into that corner, past legs, through everything. But you could see that was well meant, that was purpose.
Well, Johnny, do you think with Jeffrey Schlupp, what have you made of him just in general since he's came in? I think he'll start, I do. And yeah, you're right, his goal last week was fantastic. But I also think this guy's here next season, Johnny. I think it's a free transfer as well. And I know people have made about the whole wages thing. But I think this guy was being already. He's been making noise about, how welcome he's felt already. It's all positive. At the end of the day, you'd expect a player to do that. I'm not, he's not going to come out and say it's absolutely shite here or anything, is he? But yeah, to me, it looks like Brendan's definitely investing now in this guy. He's worked with him before, previously. So to me, it makes sense that if he's on a free transfer, and that is, free is one of the words that is the Celtic board's favourite, along with profit. But yeah, you can get him for nothing at the end of the season. To me, it's a no-brainer. KT coming back up the road, and it definitely now I think we can say it looks like Greg Taylor will be gone at the end of the season. I would be stunned if there is a contract signing at this point. It looks to me like he's done. You look at all the evidence right now, he keeps getting subbed off. Like one of the things that Liam has constantly highlighted about the Greg Taylor thing is how he'd always get 90 minutes, he'd always play. But recently, he's been getting subbed off a lot, and at times he doesn't like it. You see him throw his hands up in the air. So I think it looks like it is going to be Jeffrey Schlupp. And yeah, for me, Liam, Johnny, Schlupp needs to sign permanently for me.
Yeah, going very briefly with Taylor, I'm surprised he hasn't actually already announced where he's going. I thought, because he obviously can, unless he's just maybe not made a decision. But I think he's definitely going somewhere. Schlupp, I hope he's here next season. I like him. I like looking at him. It's like you said, Liam. He's big and he's powerful. He doesn't get pushed about. He's got no lack of skill about him. Like he's a decent player. We're gonna have Tierney back next season. Is Tierney going to play full back? Or is he going to be another winger? Because that's where Arsenal are playing him at the minute. When they bring him on, they're playing him up on the wing, and all the Arsenal supporters. When you read about them down here online and whatnot, they're all raving about Tierney and they're gutted that he's leaving. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. Schlupp, I think he'll be here next season. The wages, we use that word free. I think what we really should be saying is that Crystal Palace won't get anything for him. Yeah. But this is where we stack it up front. We pay, we'll give you a £500,000 sign-on fee and we'll pay you 30 grand a week rather than we'll give Crystal Palace. Let's face it, if he had 12 months left his contract at Palace, they would probably be looking for, they'd be looking for 2 or 3 million for him, wouldn't they? At least, minimum.
32-year-old.
Celtic could just say, what, we'll give you £500,000. We'll give you £1 million up front, sign-on fee. And then we'll pay you, on a weekly basis, we'll pay you the same as, that keeps you in our wage structure. But you've got £1 million tax-free in your bank. And I know he's won the Premiership, but is that that's the only trophy he's won, isn't it?
He won the Premier League with Leicester, and I think he was at Leicester when they won the FA Cup, or was he?
He's never played for Brendan before.
He hasn't played for Brendan. I thought he's just
I thought he had as well. Yeah, never played for him before.
Right, so that kind of exposes a little bit of a myth there, Ben, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a weird. I thought the same.
I played with Schmeichel before.
I played with him. Yeah.
So I think if Celtic was to put a package in front and say, "There's your sign-on fee, straight in your bank. We'll pay you 30 grand a week, 40 grand a week, whatever it is," because is he going to play the same amount of games as Tierney next season? Are they going to be a sort of just depending how we're going to look after Tierney. So we'll pay you in an equivalent sort of wage, because you're not a second choice. You're another left back that we've got at the team, and you more than merit your first team status. And we're going to give you a chance to add a few more medals to your collection.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind, Johnny, as well, he's a bit of a utility player. He's a
different
trades as well, which is always something I think you need in a football squad. You always need that type of player that can cover a few positions. Like, remember Charlie Mulgrew playing for us under Lenny. Even his song talked how he played left mid and he played left back and central mid. He even mentioned all these things, and it's like, yeah, that's it. You need players that can cover all these positions, because suspensions and injuries happen. So Jeffrey Schlupp, to me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I hope he's here next season. I do think it's a no-brainer we sign him up.
I think he's playing to earn a contract as well.
Yeah.
I think you can see that's the motivation is do well over the next 5 months, you'll get a deal here. And I think that's what he's wanting to do. Because I'm sure, I know it's not that important, but Modern World and all that, apparently he'd never posted on his Instagram before.
And he did. I saw this story.
And then he signs for Celtic, and suddenly his first ever 3 posts, and they're all Celtic related. So he's trying to sell it a wee bit. It's weird stuff like that. But I think as well, as much as he could be like a utility player and that could be described as cover, I think in the same token, he could be one of those players that Rodgers feels better if he's in his first 11. Now, that might be defined by what position, Liam. Do you know what I mean? Like, it could be the case of, though, I still think my best team has Jeffrey Schlupp in it. And it might not be so necessarily just he's a cover player because he's utility. He might actually be a mainstay of the team that you just see. Jackie McNamara was one. See, after from
was just saying,
from O'Neill's third season onwards, really, third, fourth, fifth, he felt better with Jackie in the team, but he had him playing right back, he had him at left back, he had him holding midfield, he had him further forward in midfield. Like, no two ways about it. That tells you sometimes you see a name or you see a player and you go, still, I want him in the team. So I don't think he's going to be defined as being sharing the role with Kieran Tierney, and I don't think he's going to be defined as a cover utility player. I've got a feeling if Schlupp joins, you'll see a hell of a lot of him. It'll just be in various positions. Do you know what I mean?
No, he can be a very useful player, and I say it makes all the business sense in the world for. So again, act like a big club, Celtic. What Johnny said about the yes, he is. He's part of the Yang Gang, Joe Henry. That's right. Schlupp is in the Yang Gang, mate.
Yang Gang.
But before we do our final predictions again, we'll do the mystery player. I think it was quite an obvious one tonight, but again, there's a bit of a theme as to why I picked this one tonight. So let me just bring the graphic up and remind you again who tonight's hidden player is. So he played for Auxerre, Paris Saint-Germain, Stade Rennes, Celtic, and then he finished his career at Hearts. Liam, I've got a funny feeling you know exactly who this guy is.
Greg Taylor. No, just
It is indeed. It is another Celtic number 3, which is the theme of the night. It is indeed Stefan Mahe, and look at this absolute mad haircut. Look at him.
Love that.
Absolute mad bastard that he is. Liam, I'm sure you've probably got a Stefan Mahe highlight or two in your mind, because I know that you love this guy.
I remember the first time he came on, it was Duke of Gloucester in Toronto. We were watching the game, and he came on with that haircut. It was like Joe Strummer at the Clash or something. It was before everybody was getting that haircut, the Beckhams and all that. With him, it looked like he was straight out a Taxi Driver. It was like, typical French punk rocker coming into the team. When you talk about icons and cult heroes and stuff like that with Celtic, Stefan Mahe is right up there. He had that bit of madness about him. Part of that was that haircut, but he was good. We had a player that came and played with PSG. He had a great pedigree. I thought he was great when he played with Celtic, and a couple of moments of madness here and there. But
he's seen the refereeing decisions for what they were, Liam.
Oh,
and he reacted to it.
Absolutely. I mean, he was in punch-ups. He was in all sorts of stuff when he was there. Right. That's why I love when you get these players that come and just embrace Celtic and a wee bit of madness to them and that, and they become cult figures and that. So how can you
He'd like the bus. He would definitely like the bus.
I always thought Stephen Mahe would have been perfectly at home in the, because Marseille's a very rough city. If it is a city, I don't even know if it is. But Marseille's got a very rough sort of gangland sort of area or gang. And I just always thought Mahe could have just stepped straight out of that. Like, you know, he could have been in the Warriors film, Liam, like, you know. But like you said, he was as mad as a box of frogs.
Obviously, he was at the centre of the infamous shame game, the one that it all descended into a farce, getting sent off for being tackled. Remember, Neil McCann tackled him, and he was telling Dallas you should book him, and then Dallas ended up booking Mahe, second booking, sent him off. But there was another game that season as well, and I believe the referee was McCluskey, and I still can't believe this wasn't a penalty. We drew 2 each at Ibrox, and Andrei Kanchelskis absolutely wiped him out. Mahe did really well to weave into the box, and Andrei Kanchelskis completely does him. We ended up drawing the game 2-2. But yeah, it was a strange moment, man. How can I not be penalty? Then a year later, we had the penalty given against the Ibrox where Paul Lambert had his teeth busted by Jorg Albert, so that was 2. Yeah. But yeah,
see on the official signal, what did you make of the audio, the chalked off goal?
So Russell, I said that last week on the bus we were talking about competence and incompetence and biases and the difference between the three of them. There has to be sanctions or punishment on this. But I looked it up. I looked up the SFA refereeing thing, right? And that they see that they don't punish referees. Because I wanted to see that last time a referee was demoted or sacked, and they don't disclose that stuff. The only one that goes back to is Dougie McDonald and Hugh Dallas, right? But in the last 10 years, it doesn't show any of those because the SFA believe that these sort of instances that happen are developmental to the referee's career. That these sort of things will make the referees better by acknowledging them and pointing them out, and that this somehow is going to make that referee better. But me, I don't think you can make bias better. I think he has shown that he is not emotionally mature or equipped enough to handle being a referee in the Scottish Football Association because he has biases. And the fact that you can hear the tone and the intent in his voice that he wasn't looking for the ball to be out. He was wanting the ball to be out. He was wanting it out so much that he would override different viewpoints, different decisions. 5 times he was given the out of like, well, I don't think
it's not conclusive.
Yep.
And he came out and stamped and said, yes, it's conclusive. Now, if anybody yelled cut on set when I worked before the director, because they thought they saw something or they did it, but it's still, you know, they're close to everybody's to it and it's the wrong decision. You don't work again in that industry. Yeah. And I think that has to be the same sort of case in football. It's very high stakes. That was a point that we've lost. And so I think, you know, that alone is enough to sort of get him his jotters. I don't think this is a developmental thing where he's going to learn for anything from this, because you look at his history of refereeing decisions and it starts to question, is this bias? And you can only look at these things so many times because it's proven in the real world. Some people have a bias. It is out there. You can't just say that, no, it doesn't happen to be, you know, in people. He's proven beyond a doubt, and this is factual, unlike his facts, that, yeah, he looks like he is not emotionally intact to referee in Scottish football, that there's bias.
Liam, when you talk about bias, do you know anybody, when you lived in Scotland, and same for Russell and Phil there, when I lived in Scotland, I knew plenty of people who weren't Celtic or Rangers supporters, but they had a bias leaning one way or the other.
Yeah,
it's just not possible not to have a bias. We're all biased in Celtic's favour. I'll be honest with you, when watching that game live, before Johnson got the ball across and it was put in, I thought that's out. But then when they showed the replays, I thought, oh, actually, I don't know about that. And then from that point onwards, I could not make up my mind whether that ball was in or out. There's only one way on that particular incident that you could tell conclusively whether that ball was in or out. So if you've got a camera bang above, right above the line, it's the only way you can see for definite that ball is out. And
Johnny,
talk about a factual thing. You could not say, well, I can see the ball's out because of the curvature of the ball. I can see it's over there, blah, blah. He couldn't do that. He had to say, I don't know. And because I don't know, I'm going to have to go with the referee and the linesman.
So whatever happened to the advantage to the attacker? I remember playing football.
That went west a long time ago, mate.
There used to be an advantage to the attacking team that if you were the team attacking it, and this was all to make football more entertaining, that the advantage, if it was two of them, it was a split decision, the advantage would go to the team attacking, because that's what made football entertaining, that's what made football good. And he seemed to ignore that sort of rule or unwritten rule, whatever it is as well. But
it used to be a rule, Liam, but I think that was more for offside. If there was, and obviously now with VAR and it being so good and accurate and being factual, that's probably going out of the way. But there was a time when the attacking team got the advantage in an offside position if it was, like say a toenail, or things like that. If we can't say for definite, then the attacking team, and that was a rule.
If you watch what Willie Collins says when he's obviously talking that VAR review podcast thing, it's mad because the actual rule is if it's inconclusive, you go with the on-field decision. Now, that's fine, but not just that. The other guy in the VAR room quotes that rule 3 or 4 times. So this isn't like, that's where I get really confused. Like, I say confused. I know the score, but that's where it goes into that territory of, right, wait the fucking now. You can't say it's you support the on-field decision unless it's conclusive. That rule was getting actually relayed to him in the room. He was getting reminded of that rule and still decided, look at that angle though. Look at that. Now that's still
just rode roughshod over it all.
So
you did.
When the rule's actually being quoted to you and you can hear that, I think there's a fundamental difference as to what you're saying about the benefit, the doubt stuff and that, right? That's maybe how it was. But this is actually the fundamental rule they go by now. Was part of that conversation on 3 occasions, if not more, and quoted to him, and he overrode that, and that's where you go, well, that's not a mistake, because you're being reminded of it, and you're ignoring that rule. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. It's not the first time. It's not the first time, Russell. It was just a year ago when we had the defeated Tynecastle. And they never put the audio out about that, but it was interesting because not long after that game, it wasn't that hard to find on Twitter. It was doing the rounds of screen grab from the IFAB rules. This was the game where we got the penalty against us for Alistair Johnson heading the ball off of Tomoki Iwata's arm with the cross.
That was the same game that Yang got sent off, wasn't it?
The same game Yang gets sent off.
That was a good bit about the game.
The IFAB rules state that if the ball hits your arm and it's came from a teammate kicking it or heading it against you, it can't be deemed a foul or a free kick or a penalty. And this is obviously the game Don Robertson goes to the screen, and between him and John Beaton, we don't know what the audio said exactly, but it's like that's in the IFAB rules where the ball clearly does. It comes in across. Johnson and the Hearts player both go up for it. Johnson makes the connection with the header where Iwata's got his back to it, puts an arm out and it hits his arm, but it's came off Alistair Johnson. So the IFAB rules say that's not a penalty, but between the two of them, they couldn't figure that out and just went, I give the penalty to Hearts anyway. And that's why Brendan Rodgers is doing.
So there's a lack of remembering a rule or it not coming to mind at the time when it's maybe an intense moment or whatever. And then there's been reminded of the rule in that same moment, which he was consistently reminded of, inconclusive. If it's not conclusive, we can't do it. But you've been like, so yes, it's a rule that might have slipped your mind, but see when you're getting reminded of it 3 times, 100% then go, oh, aye, spot on, that is the rule. Instead, he just kept forcing his narrative.
Yep.
That's not a mistake now. It's not a mistake now. But I mean, again, I don't know what he was looking for. I mean, like, it's going to take more than that. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, this would have been handy, mate, about fucking 4 months ago. You know what I mean? It makes no fucking odds. I don't know why you're giving your game away. Do you know what I mean? Showing your colours when we're fucking 13 points clear.
I mean, the giving away will be what they do about it. At what point? So if they just ignore this and that goes away, that just shows you how corrupt Scottish football.
But the thing is, though, Liam, are Celtic ignoring it? Because there's not been the hue and cry about it that there was about the non-penalty in the League Cup final. You know, where Rangers were sending statements off to anybody who would, they could find an address for. From what I can gather, from what I've seen online, I don't buy newspapers anymore, but online or the news, I've never Celtic are not exactly what you would call kicking up a stink about it and say, all right, we didn't play great, and it's not because we got beat, blah blah blah. It's not going to cost us the league at the end of the day, but there's something not right here, and it's not a case of it's not a case of the last time when Brendan came out and said, "Oh, incompetence," when he sent Yang off and gave the penalty kick.
That's my point.
He said, he came out there at that point and said it was incompetent. Well, that's it's either incompetent against Hibs there, or as you've said, it's just blatant.
But it's not incompetent if you're being reminded of said rule. You've been reminded of the rule 3 times and you've chose to override that. That can't be incompetence.
And you've still decided to cheat.
That's just, it's not incompetence, that.
No,
because your mate's digging you. He's bailing you out. If it was incompetence, your colleagues reminding you of the rule to help you out, and you're still not listening to that bit. So that's when it's not incompetence. That's just.
But the point I'm making is it's not like Celtic are making a big hue and cry about it. Why aren't we? Why aren't we sending statements off right, left, and centre like Statement FC do?
Maybe they've waited for this. They may have waited for this though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
There might be something in the next few days now. The audio's out there, public and public domain.
That would make sense to me. Just keep your counsel and wait for them to fucking, basically put the gun to their own head, because they have to release it now because it's all about that transparency. And they're going, wait till you hear this, because there's no way they're going to shine. And they probably heard that today and went, that's way better than we thought it would be. I would imagine Celtic will be now thinking behind the scenes about.
We'd like to think so.
Yeah,
I would think so, to be fair.
Yeah. And with Ryan T's coming there, so they're hiding behind teething problems. I'd like to think not, because we've had VAR now since 2022. Well, October 22 it came in. So come on, teething problems. They need to. They can't hide behind that for much longer. They should be hiding behind it now. They should be good at it, but no, it's just. I'm sure there'll be another VAR decision that will get us talking, and hopefully not the Sunday though. Hopefully, there's nothing too controversial again against Hibs. Hopefully, it's a nice. Calm victory, and we cruise into the semi-final. So I think Celtic will go on and win it 3-1. Both teams will score, I reckon. But I say we win it 3-1. Russell, what's your score prediction for the game on Sunday?
Yep, I think we'll sail away with it against David Gray's team. I'm getting worse.
I'm trying to think of the songs on that album now.
I think 4-0.
4-0, fair dues. Liam, resounding victory.
Just like a visage, there's some fade to grey. I say 3-2.
And Johnny, what's your score prediction for the?
I think we'll say hello, say goodbye by about 4-1.
4-1, fair dues. So yes, that's wins all round in the chat. Graham Tyrrell says 3-2. Smell the glove. 6-2 Hoops. Yang hat trick. Oft. Patrick McLaughlin says 4-1. Gary Brown also says 4-1. And Ian McIntosh 4-1. So yeah, there's a lot of 4-1s flying around. But yes, we're heading off now. That's been another Friday Feel. Still over 100 of these watching live, so make sure to hit the like button before you go. Help us out massively. Thanks for, again, choosing us on a Friday night, because I know Friday nights could be a busy time on the old Celtic YouTube. And yeah, we're off now to renew our Yang Gang membership cards and maybe buy an extra one as well for Russell while we're at it. Yes. We will see you on the next one, folks. We'll catch you later. See ya.
See you later.